What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Wednesday, January 28th, 2026, and I have some breaking news to share with you guys. Right now it is 16:54 Eastern Time here in the United States, and I wanted to update you guys on the situation with Iran. It's looking more and more likely that the U.S. will be striking Iran in a major way in the coming days or weeks. But before I get into that, I want to update you guys on some other things. First of all, I want to give you a channel update. So a lot of you guys have probably noticed that I haven't been posting as many updates in the last week and a half or so. And that's because I was in Las Vegas for the SHOT Show. And then also I did a 3-day expedition to Area 51. And I hiked up Tikaboo Peak in the middle of the night to get video footage of the base. So I'm going to be posting my videos from SHOT Show and from Area 51 in the coming days and weeks. And the Area 51 footage will be coming out this week as soon as tomorrow. So my normal scheduled programming will return starting today. So we have some major breaking news coming in from the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists. So they have officially set the Doomsday clock down to 85 seconds to midnight. This is the closest we have ever been to Doomsday, according to the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists. We were at 90 seconds in 2024. Then in 2025, we were at 89 seconds to midnight, and now we're at 85 seconds to midnight. And just to give you guys a comparison, during the peak of the Cold War nuclear arms race in the 1950s, the atomic scientists had us at 2 minutes till midnight, okay? So this is much worse than even during the peak of the Cold War. Even during the 1980s, we were at like 3 or 4 minutes. I'm going to show you guys the historical record of the Doomsday Clock. This is very, very serious. I want to just share this footage of the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists revealing their announcement of 85 seconds to midnight.
It is now 85 seconds to midnight. This is the closest the world has ever been to midnight.
So guys, this is mostly symbolic. Okay, it doesn't mean that, we're going to have nuclear war tomorrow, but typically these atomic scientists are pretty good in their assessments, and I want to read to you the reasoning. So they wrote here, a year ago we warned that the world was perilously close to global disaster and that any delay in reversing course increased the probability of catastrophe. Rather than heed this warning, Russia, China, and the United States and other major countries have instead become increasingly aggressive, adversarial, and nationalistic. Hard-won global understandings are collapsing, accelerating a winner-takes-all great power competition and undermining the international cooperation critical to reducing the risks of nuclear war, climate change, the misuse of biotechnology, and the potential threat of artificial intelligence and other apocalyptic dangers. Far too many leaders have grown complacent and indifferent, in many cases adopting rhetoric and policies that accelerate rather than mitigate these existential risks. Because of this failure of leadership, the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists Science and Security Board today sets the Doomsday Clock at 85 seconds to midnight, the closest it has ever been to catastrophe. Wow. Okay, so they're specifically mentioning Russia, China, and the U.S., and they're talking about a great power competition. Okay, so this is very, very serious, and I want to just show you guys the historical record of the Doomsday Clock. So you can see here in 1947, they were at 7 minutes to midnight right after World War II. 1949, they were at 3 minutes till midnight. And then from 1953 to 1960, okay, right around when the Cuban Missile Crisis happened and they started testing the H-bomb, they were only at 2 minutes till midnight. We're at 85 seconds till midnight, okay? So just under a minute and a half to midnight. So we're closer to Doomsday now than during the 1950s, during the height of the arms race, okay? And I wanted to update you guys on the situation with Iran. So we had this interesting flight last night from the U.S. to Crete in the Eastern Mediterranean. This is a battlefield communications node plane, a Bombardier E-11A. Okay, these planes are responsible for assisting in command and control of any kind of military operation for the U.S. military. Okay, so they serve as like an airborne command post for operational or theater level operations. So this is what you would need if you're going to be launching massive airstrikes on Iran, okay? And according to U.S. and European officials involved in the ongoing negotiations who spoke to the New York Times, 3 demands have been given to Iran to prevent potential military actions by the U.S. So these are demands that the U.S. gave to Iran. U.S. and European officials involved in negotiations with the New York Times are saying that the U.S. is demanding a permanent end to all enrichment of uranium at sites throughout Iran, limits on the range and number of long-range ballistic missiles maintained by Iran, and an end to all support for proxy groups in the Middle East, including Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis. Okay, so some pretty serious demands here by the United States, and if Iran doesn't meet these demands, they're going to get bombed, okay? And the Jerusalem Post out of Israel is reporting that the U.S. Trump administration is examining the possibility of imposing a naval blockade on Iran that would prevent Iran from exporting oil. So that's pretty serious. And right now, this afternoon, we have 2 U.S. nuclear war command and control planes airborne over the continental U.S. We have one over the upper Midwest, and then we have one in the Gulf of America. These planes are responsible for communicating with submerged nuclear-armed submarines. And when you see a lot of these airborne, like right now we have 2, that usually means that the U.S. military is on a higher level of alert and they're deploying these planes. So if something were to escalate, they can send out nuclear codes to our submerged nuclear-armed subs, which are the backbone of our nuclear triad. 2/3 of our nuclear weapons are in our submarines, okay? And Iran's foreign minister Abbas Araghchi joined the list of Iranian officials making threats of retaliation today directed at Israel and the United States, stating that the armed forces of Iran are prepared with their fingers on the trigger to immediately and powerfully respond to any aggression against our beloved land, air, and sea. So that was the foreign minister. And then a senior political advisor to the Iranian supreme leader, the Ayatollah Khamenei, his name is Ali Shamkhani, said that any idea of a limited strike against Iran is an illusion, stating that any military action by the U.S. from any origin and at any level will be considered the beginning of a war, and its response will be immediate, all out, and unprecedented, targeting the heart of Tel Aviv and all supporters of the aggressor. Wow. Immediate, all out, and unprecedented, targeting Tel Aviv. Wow. Very, very strong words there from the Iranians. And we also had some very strong words from Trump. Let me read to you what he posted about Iran on Truth Social. So he wrote, a massive armada is heading to Iran. It is moving quickly with great power, enthusiasm, and purpose. It is a larger fleet headed by the great aircraft carrier Abraham Lincoln than that sent to Venezuela. Like with Venezuela, it is ready, willing, and able to rapidly fulfill its mission with speed and violence if necessary. Hopefully, Iran will quickly come to the table and negotiate a fair and equitable deal. No nuclear weapons, one that is good for all parties. Time is running out. It is truly of the essence, and as I told Iran once before, make a deal. They didn't, and there was Operation Midnight Hammer, a major destruction of Iran. The next attack will be far worse. Don't make that happen again. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald Trump. Okay, so he's talking about when they used the stealth bombers to bomb the nuclear enrichment sites underneath the mountain in Fordow, the Fordow facility. He's saying that the next attack will be far worse than that, okay, if they don't make a deal now. So Trump is giving them time, but he clearly says here that time is running out, okay? And then here we have that post from the foreign minister of Iran saying, our brave armed forces are prepared with their fingers on the trigger to immediately and powerfully respond. Okay, so very, very serious from the Iranian foreign minister there. And we're hearing that the Iranian foreign minister said that he has not been in contact with the U.S. representative to Iran, Steve Witkoff, recently, and that Iran has not requested negotiations. Wow. And the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, said that if Iran makes the grave mistake of attacking Israel, we will respond with a force it has never seen. Wow. And an Iranian judiciary announces the execution of a prisoner claiming that they were a Mossad agent. So that's clearly a sign of disrespect to Trump, because Trump gave them leeway because they said they wouldn't execute any more prisoners. Well, they just executed one. And Turkish security forces arrested 6 members of an Iranian intelligence cell aiming to ship drones to Cyprus that could have targeted the Incirlik air base in Turkey. That's a NATO air base, a major NATO air base where U.S. nuclear weapons are stored in Turkey. And so an Iranian sleeper cell was trying to ship drones to Cyprus to target that base. That is very concerning. And this came right after all the threats were made by the Iranian foreign minister and the senior advisor to Khamenei. Very, very serious. And Iran's mission to the UN says Iran is ready for dialogue based on mutual respect and interests, but warns that if pushed into a corner, it will defend itself and respond in an unprecedented way. And the German Chancellor Friedrich Merz said the Iranian regime's days are numbered. He said it may be weeks, but this regime has no legitimacy whatsoever to govern the country. Okay, so the leader of Germany saying that the days of the Khamenei regime are numbered. It could be just weeks away before the regime is taken out by the U.S. and NATO. And remember, guys, over the last few days, if you missed my updates, there were numerous U.S. aerial refuelers, as many as 15 KC-135 aerial refuelers moved to the Middle East. There's well over 3 dozen or 4 dozen F-15 Strike Eagles now in the Middle East. About a dozen of them were recently moved from the UK to Qatar. Also, British fighter jets were deployed to Qatar at the request of Qatar, I guess to protect the Al Udeid Air Base and Qatar itself. So things are really ramping up. And also the Abraham Lincoln Aircraft Carrier Strike Group and its associated guided missile destroyers, 6 of them, are now just 700 kilometers off the coast of Iran, okay? So it's about to go down. It could go down as soon as this weekend. I have a feeling it might go down this weekend, to be honest. And if it does, I will go live 24/7 if necessary, providing you with live coverage. So make sure you have notifications turned on YouTube. Also, download my free app from the Google Play Store. There's a link in the description down below. It lets me send out updates directly to your phone and lets me notify you when I'm going live. You can also follow me on Twitter at NYPrepper1. The link to my Twitter is in the description down below. I post updates there throughout the day. And Saudi Arabia has ruled out allowing its airspace or territory to be used for any potential U.S. strike on Iran. This was reported by the Wall Street Journal. So Saudi Arabia does not want to be subject to Iranian missiles retaliation for strikes. So Saudi Arabia is basically staying out of it. Very interesting. And the Syrian president has granted the Kurds Syrian citizenship, which was previously denied by Bashar al-Assad, the prior president who fled to Russia. Very interesting. And U.S. intelligence reports have raised doubts that the interim Venezuelan president, Delcy Rodriguez, will cooperate with the Trump administration's demands, including formally cutting ties with U.S. adversaries like China and Russia. This was reported by Reuters. And the CIA is working to establish a larger, more permanent presence in Venezuela. And U.S. officials say Washington is taking initial steps towards possibly reopening the U.S. embassy in Venezuela. So very interesting. And U.S. officials are preparing a general license to lift some sanctions on Venezuela's energy sector, shifting from a plan to grant case-by-case exemptions, sources say. So very interesting. They're going to grant a broad sweeping release of sanctions for Venezuela's energy sector. That's good news for us here in the U.S. because some of that Venezuelan oil may be making its way to the pumps soon, and it may drop our fuel prices here. And Ukrainian open source intelligence channels have confirmed that a Russian Sukhoi 34 fighter bomber was shot down by Ukraine today over the Black Sea, resulting in the death of both pilots in the plane, with the aircraft said to have been shot down off the coast of Odessa. Now, this is very significant because of where it was shot down. It was shot down off of Odessa, which is not a place that Russian fighter jets typically fly close to. So this tells me that Russia is setting its sights on Odessa and they want to take control of Odessa or attack it more. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. If you're not aware of Odessa, what it means and the significance of Odessa, this is a city in Ukraine on the coast of the Black Sea. The Russian mafia has a huge presence in Odessa, but it's the main port for Ukraine to ship out goods and to receive goods. Otherwise, Ukraine would be landlocked. So Odessa provides Ukraine with a seaport, okay? And North Korea carried out a test firing of an upgraded KN-25 600mm super large multiple rocket launch system. Kim Jong-un said the new version has improved mobility and much higher accuracy, including a self-guidance system, and is designed to resist outside interference or jamming. About 5 missiles were launched in 2 rounds, each traveling 350 to 400 kilometers. So before you guys start laughing and shrugging it off like, oh, it's, Kim Jong-un, his rockets suck, Rocket Man. Well, let me just explain to you why this is very concerning. Because these are rockets, okay? These are not missiles. So they're very difficult to jam and affect the guidance of, okay? These are not like precision guided missiles where you can jam them and cause them to miss their target or crash or something like that. These are just basic rockets that are not even very accurate, but they're massive. Look at how big they are. Okay, this is basically like a grad rocket system, the Russian grad rockets that they use in Ukraine, those trucks that have like 30 rockets mounted to the back and they can park and just launch them all. Those only go like 10 or 20 miles. These can go, 300 miles, and there's much less of them, but they're basically just a massive version of a grad system. And so it's a very simple design that cannot be jammed or intercepted, okay? So this is very serious, and with that kind of range, they can easily hit all of South Korea, and I'm sure they have a large warhead as well. And there were so far 68 confirmed fatalities over the past few days due to the massive blizzard that hit 2/3 of the United States. In New York, there were 11 fatalities due to extreme cold and shoveling of snow. In Texas, 8 fatalities from extreme cold, vehicle crashes, a sledding accident, drowning in a frozen pond, and falling on ice. In Maine, there were 6 fatalities due to a plane crash while they were flying in deteriorating conditions. In Louisiana, there were 5 fatalities due to extreme cold and improper generator use. In Tennessee, 5 fatalities due to extreme cold and car crashes. In Pennsylvania, 5 fatalities due to cardiac arrest while shoveling snow. In Virginia, 4 fatalities due to car crashes, cardiac arrest while shoveling snow, and drowning in a frozen pond. In Arkansas, 3 fatalities, extreme cold, ATV accidents, and a sledding accident. In Iowa, 2 fatalities, car crash and extreme cold. In Mississippi, 2 fatalities, extreme cold, and a tree falling on a house due to ice accumulation. In Ohio, 2 fatalities due to snowplow accidents. In South Carolina, 2 fatalities due to extreme cold. In Indiana, 2 fatalities due to car crashes. In Massachusetts, 2 fatalities due to a snowplow accident and cardiac arrest while shoveling snow. In Montreal in Canada, 2 fatalities due to extreme cold. In Illinois, 1 fatality. A vehicle was struck by a train. In Kansas, 1 fatality due to extreme cold. In Oklahoma, 1 fatality due to sledding accident. Michigan, 1 fatality, extreme cold. North Carolina, 1 fatality, extreme cold. New Jersey, 1 fatality, cardiac arrest while shoveling snow. And Kentucky, 1 fatality due to extreme cold. So if you look at that, some of the main things that happened here were people shoveling snow and getting heart attacks, and people dying from extreme cold, and then car accidents. Those are 3 things that you can easily mitigate, okay? Number 1, if you're not in good shape, or even if you are in good shape, don't shovel snow very strenuously, okay? Take breaks. Don't shovel a lot of snow at one time. Maybe shovel a little bit at a time. Break it up into small jobs so you're not just out there for 2 hours, bending over, shoveling snow. Break it up into smaller pieces. Car crashes, very simple. Don't drive in the middle of a blizzard, okay? Unless your wife is pregnant or there's some kind of serious medical emergency, there's really no reason to be driving in this type of weather, okay? It's a risk to yourself and everybody around you. And then sledding accidents, just be smart. Don't be stupid, be conservative, don't try to do crazy things. Don't sled down huge hills, okay? And the Air Force and the Navy are going to be conducting a joint flyover at the Super Bowl. The formation will include 2 B-1 bombers, 2 F-15 Strike Eagles, 2 F-18 Super Hornets, and 2 F-35 Lightnings to commemorate America's 250th birthday. Wow. And finally, Germany has hired a defense contractor by the name of Polaris to develop a reusable hypersonic glide vehicle to be completed by 2027. The aircraft, a first of its kind, called the Hypersonic Test and Experimentation Vehicle, is designed to reach speeds above Mach 5 using a combination of jet engines and an aerospike rocket motor. The system is intended as a test bed for defense and scientific research, with secondary use as a small satellite launcher if the upper stage is expendable. The main stage will be powered by 2 turbofans and an aerospike rocket, while the upper stage relies solely on rocket propulsion. Launch readiness is targeted for the end of 2027, with the ability to carry payloads up to 2,000 pounds into space or to conduct high altitude reconnaissance. Okay, so this thing is reusable, guys. They can fly this thing multiple times the speed of sound. They can use it to carry various types of spy instruments or to deliver payloads. They can, let's say, drop off nuclear warheads or something, and then they can fly back to Earth and land and be reused. That's pretty crazy, but that's the latest breaking news that I have. I might be back later on tonight with a live update or another video update. I just got back into town, so I have a lot of things to catch up on. If I don't go live tonight, I'll definitely go live tomorrow. And until the next time, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere. And this update was sponsored by EMP Shield. Guys, EMP Shield has created a special discount just for you, the listeners of the NYPrepper channel. If you go to empshield.com and use the promo code NYPrepper, you can get 15% off your entire order. And why do you need an EMP Shield? Well, this is a special device to protect your vehicle, your RV, your solar generators, your radios from an electromagnetic pulse, which could be caused by a solar flare or potentially a rogue country like North Korea detonating an electromagnetic pulse weapon over the United States that's mounted onto a satellite. So protect your vehicles, protect your RV, protect your radios, protect your generators with an EMP Shield. Use my promo code NYPrepper to get 15% off. Installation is super simple. This is a veteran-owned business, 100% American-made, and the EMP Shields have been tested by the military, okay? And free shipping is included to the entire continental United States. And the link and the promo code are in the description below this video.